got a special guest on today. This guy and I were total dynamite together. Last year playing for the Squeeze, #1 in the world. Feddy Staks, what is going on, my man? Woo! Give me some insight on the match against Hunter.
First of all, I step on the court and I see this ref and I know.
You've been there.
I hate saying that, but there's a couple refs that honestly just want to be heroes. 95% are neutral.
I appreciate the refs that do toe the line, but they try to be as uninvolved as possible. This was before the PPA tour, but a huge sign in the refs room before the refs walked out the door, it was this massive sign, and it said the best ref is the one nobody remembers. When something is controversial, if something does come up, they're like an encyclopedia for the rule book. They know exactly what they're talking about. It is a little tricky. I mean, we saw that, I want to say, a little bit in Australia.
Kansas City, Fed and I.
Oh, remember that was crazy.
Fed and I are playing at like 10:30 at night, but I got called twice, and it was 3-1 game one, and I looked at the ref, and I'm like, bro, if you keep calling me for my serve, like, it's gonna be a long night. It's already 10:30. I got called for my serve multiple times. Both Fed and I had multiple technical warnings. I mean, I don't know, same thing.
Sometimes the refs have good intention of kind of pre-warning you, if this happens, we're gonna call it, but then in the same sense too, that kind of plants it in your head that like, oh, they're on the lookout for me on this particular thing. Just be there, just officiate. It's a tough enough job already for them to do. Let's not put any more burden or question marks on it, in my opinion.
What's going on? Tyson McGuffin here. Welcome to the McGuffin Show. Mama, what's up, girl?
How's it going?
She's got her denim on today, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, Tyson hates it.
I'm not a huge fan of denim, but she loves to rock her denim.
Hey,
I'll tell you
I love a good jean jacket.
Hey,
viewers,
as long
let us
as it's
know,
not
okay?
a leather jacket. Just kidding, K-Mac.
K-Mac knows the jacket hate. The jacket hate is real.
Leather is coming back.
Tyson's very
we got lots of stuff to break down here. Lots of trades. Crazy stuff taking place in MLP right now. The Hustlers cleaned house, from what it sounds like. Got rid of all their players. I'm pretty sure got rid of some of the staff as well, and they're having a fresh start, I'll tell you what. Had some crazy stuff also taking place in Mesa. Don't know what was in the water down there, but it seemed like it was violence. Okay, and we like it. Okay, we are here for it. We are more than here for it. So I got a special guest on today. This guy and I were total dynamite together, playing for Miami Pickleball Club. Also last year playing for the Squeeze, #1 in the world. Nicest guy I know. He is a golfer as well, and his golf scores are kind of similar to mine. On any given day, this guy can shoot a 78 or a 102. Okay. Feddy Staks, what is going on, my man?
Woo!
What's up, Tyson?
Come on.
I'm pumped to be here. This is the best podcast in the business. The first one, the original one. There's so many people doing it, but
the one and only.
This is the #1. You know.
The one and only. Thank you, Fed. So Fed, looks like we are not going to be homies anymore this year playing for the Squeeze, man. I got the old hammer, you know. I got the old boot. They punted me out of there, and I will miss you.
Yeah, man, that was a good ride. I mean, 1.5 years together. That was good.
Yeah, 1.5 years, and pretty sure we probably had the best men's record going into our last event last year in Miami, where we ended up going 1-5. Don't know what happened, but I was gonna, we're probably like a top 5 men's team last year. But yeah, definitely unfortunate and sad to be leaving the Squeeze, but more than thankful to be with the Phoenix Flames. And even better, Skechers is actually making me a Championship Sunday all gold shoe, which actually matches the colors to the Phoenix Flames. So it was meant to be, okay? It was more than meant to be. K-Mac, what's up, buddy?
How's it going, guys? Excited to be here. Talk a little bit of MLP, and yeah, you guys, the Squeeze weren't great as a team with injuries last year, but you guys were pretty dominant both years in men's. So yeah, I'm happy as a competing coach to break that up a little bit.
Let us know the real feeling there.
Right.
Just kidding.
It's not about team wins. It's just about men's wins, you know?
Right. That's all that matters.
That was our problem. Like,
that was. As long as Fed and I won, we were more than happy. Okay.
Men's
coast
win
the
and
rest
a
of the
breaker win.
Oh gosh.
Stop.
So Mesa, packed house, massive crowds, record-breaking event, 300K apparently in ticket revenue, 19,000 people over a Tuesday through Sunday week showed up, so pretty sweet. Fed, tell me, how do you like the venue there?
I like it. I mean, it's kind of like in the middle of nowhere, but
It is in the middle of nowhere.
but it's, I mean, it's good. Like a good center court. Like we have a little players lounge. Like the setup is good. The courts they could have a little resurface, but
Yeah, courts are a little slippery.
yeah, but yeah, overall it's a great venue.
Tell me, what's the biggest difference you see with courts that are slippery compared to brand new resurfaced courts that are extra gritty? Like, how does the play differ?
Yeah, for me, like for example, in singles, just the returns, like when you're playing singles on a slippery court, like someone is slapping returns, the ball just doesn't slow down. So it's just
Right.
tough to hit that third shot. Like if you're hitting a good slice, like you have a great slice, like if you hit that slice good, then the ball is not coming up. So it's like it's tough
sure.
to hit a third.
Take me back to Bristol, Tennessee, and I
Please.
will knife all day. Bristol, Tennessee. Those courts were like an ice rink. I kid you not. I was even slicing forehand returns.
An ice rink with limited space. It was the
That
deadly
meaning
combination.
No resurfaced courts for all of 2025.
Right. Just
Play
knife
right into that
away,
slice.
baby. Right? The old sharp sword.
If they get too sticky, we get injured. So yeah, we'll take
Those courts were
take the
crazy.
slippery cord.
Those courts were very crazy. Let's see. So Mesa, Romanian Nightmare and Alshon do it again. Team looked very good. Not gonna lie, last year you had Tardio and Andre that went on a run and won a couple of tournaments in a row. I personally thought that was like Andre's best right side guy. But taking a look at Christian this year, the guy looks extremely well on the right. K-Mac, did you watch those gentlemen get it done there in Mesa?
I did, man, and I think power rankings right now for teams, you got to put them number one. I put them above Ben and Gabe while they're figuring stuff out, and it's kind of crazy. I know Christian gets a lot of flack, with his personality just being a little bit eccentric in some ways, but to go alpha and line up right with Ben, just the offense he was able to create out of nothing
For sure.
from the right side
Right.
through Ben was really the difference in that match when it got tight in those big time moments. So I think there's an argument to be talking about him of, he's pretty close to me in doubles of Ben overall. Maybe I'm getting crazy, but in mixed especially too, give him Anna Lee, give Ben some of the partners that Christian's had, might be a very different
sure.
story.
Fetty, tell me what you think about that team. You guys lost to that team in Tucson, correct?
We lost. No. We lost
Sorry.
in Mesa in
Mesa,
the
sorry.
semis. The semis.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You and Hayden.
Yeah. That team is good. I mean, they play a different game. Like they're not in the kitchen dinking. Like it's pretty crazy what they do. They literally just serve as big as they can and they just rip everything. Like they literally rip everything, and it's tough because the ball is bouncing high. The drives are super powerful. They both have like super poppy paddles now.
Right, for sure.
And they have like the length to like crash everything. So it's like they're just playing a different game. It's not pickleball kind of.
Right. And it seems like honestly, like 80% of Andre's third ball drives always go in front of him
Always.
to the right side person's left foot. And then Christian is so fast with his first step with moving forward. And we talked about this last pod too, like how there's not too many guys that can poach well with a one-e like that, and he's getting so much pop, whether he's on the stretch or it's in like his comfort zone. It seems like he's poaching well. His first step is like a lot more explosive, and taking a look at the match where Christian and Andre beat Ben and Gabe, it seemed like Christian was speeding up Ben's line a decent amount. And honestly, too, that was like one of the first times where it seemed like Ben's hands were a bit vulnerable in that match. And it seemed like maybe Ben's hands were lacking the most. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, their speed ups usually like just Christian's pulls and Andres are just, they're not going in. They're just going for like through you, and it's with these poppy paddles, it's just tough to get off the way. So
Get your
yeah.
head in the way. Get your head in the way, right? Make him pay
exactly.
$2,500.
Watching that match, kind of made me wonder. Everybody's been talking about like the new way to play, men's with that strong right side player taking more court, and definitely, I think we're seeing, a little bit of a change, in general. But is that change just to match up really well against Ben? Right? Because Ben, was winning almost everything. I think it takes advantage of the fact that Ben just likes to dink cross and stay in that pattern. You can keep your left side player pretty stationary and not
Right.
shifting and moving. And then he also doesn't attack much off the bounce up the line or dink up the line. So your right side player leaving that line open, you're able to now clog the middle. You're able to attack more spots with him covering, roughly 75% of the court. So I think there's definitely value in that style in general against a lot of teams. But I think specifically if you're playing against any team with Ben Johns, that seems to be the right recipe to really make him feel a lot of pressure.
K-Mac, tell me, do you think that more teams should be putting the return on Christian and making Christian hit more thirds? I mean, even though it seems like Christian's drive is bigger than Andre's, Christian just poaches so much better,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know though. I mean, I think when I saw teams return to Christian, the drive is better. And Andre's not as athletic, but he's long and he can
He's long, for
close
sure.
really fast. It's his forehand in the middle. So I think like Fed's talking about, it's kind of like pick your poison, I mean, I'd probably still take my chances with Andre's drive and the backhand poach in the middle of Christian, but his athleticism and his ability to take a stuck volley at his ankles and still keep the point alive is crazy, unlike anything I've ever seen before.
For sure. And it seems like they're probably winning 30% of their points, if not more, just off the shake and bake. And
more.
Right. And how much freedom that gives you at the kitchen line when you know that you're getting freebies off the serve and the drive. It just opens everything up, right? You can bring more offense. You can dink more aggressively. It's a scary looking team. And for Andre to be playing at that level, to be a dog and to be such a competitor at 37.
37.
Yeah, the guy is playing the best pickleball of his life right now. Pretty cool.
I feel like he's kind of the perfect partner for Christian in a way too, because they feed
Level
off each
him
other
out.
emotionally. And Christian kind of seems like he has his highs and his lows, but the moment Christian mentally or emotionally starts to dip, Andre's just such a natural leader to kind of keep him right there competing with him. And I really think he brings out the best in Christian. We saw him bring out the best, in Gabe in that way too. So for a lot of reasons, they're a really good partnership.
Fetty, tell me this. You don't have to give away all your secrets, but if you guys, obviously you guys are going to be making adjustments, playing that team again. Is there anything in particular that you guys would change playing that team?
Yeah, I mean, you said it like you said like putting more returns to Christian, but I think that was the mistake that we did. We tried to like return a little more middle to like cut the angles a little bit more, but Christian was just coming to the middle and ripping it right to Hayden cross, and that was just giving us like too much trouble. I just think like we gotta keep the returns from Andre, and that's what honestly Ben and Colin did in the Masters. They returned way more to Andre, and his drive is just not as good as Christian's.
Right, right, for sure. Women's final for the ages. I will tell you what. Anytime, I shouldn't say anytime because there's been countless times where AL and Catherine kind of blow them out. But this match, I'll tell you what, went like 100 minutes, something like that. Went 5. Annalie and Catherine ended up getting it done in that fifth game. Actually, kind of cruised come game 5. But came back. Did you watch that women's final?
I did. I was pretty glued to my seat throughout that. Obviously, Rachel is on our DC team, so watching and supporting her, just trying to get a sense of what's the recipe to make an Annalie Waters team, feel pressure. And no, they played great. I think emotionally it was probably tough in that fifth game. Looked like they probably had them in 4, couldn't quite close the door, and then it's tough to keep the level that high. But I mean, lights out pickleball. I mean, I thought they played really smart. They dropped a lot to get to the kitchen line, but then they were really looking at anything attackable first strike pickleball, and then just firefights are super entertaining.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to give Rachel credit, like how much pop and how much offense she can bring with that Selkirk halo. Yep. Nothing against the Selkirk halo. It's just very soft. And you know what I mean? And I mean, she gets plenty of pop, and she's super bold, likes to speed off the bounce, can play both sides well. And I'm sure definitely somebody that you like to have on your team, K-Mac.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she takes a bigger cut. If you look at her technique,
She
there's
does.
a little bit more motion than a lot of the other gals, but she knows when to play off the line, when she can kind of get away with that extra swing, and she's a total gamer, really built for women's doubles. I mean, Fed, you obviously know her game well. You guys played a lot in mixed last year. I think attacking is one of her strengths, so maybe in mixed that can sometimes be problematic in certain matchups, but in women's, she just lets it fly, and it looks beautiful.
You know what's funny is that you can always tell when somebody's using a softer paddle, because Rachel literally like takes a full swing on her dink. She'll take a full swing in transition and like turn it into a block. You know what I mean?
it's like a top spin reset. Yeah, she's got that thing dialed.
Yeah. It's so funny. Adam Stone back in the day. This was like 2019 U.S. Open. Riley and I played Deckel and Adam. Adam was using like a 7.5 ounce paddle tech that was super soft, and we're playing with the Franklin ball in Naples. It's hot and humid, and same thing. The guy was like taking full cut swings in transition that was like turning into a block. But yeah, damn good match. I'll tell you what. Let's see here. Johnson & Johnson get it done in mixed. Tell me, when they beat Ben and AL 2 years ago, did they also win in Mesa? Pretty sure they did, correct?
I think it was.
No.
It was Mesa. I could be
No,
wrong.
I think they lost. I think they lost to James and Anna.
They lost to James and Anna. Got it.
Gotcha.
Lost to James and Anna. Anyhow, Georgia and J-Dub look very, very good. Honestly, it is still baffling to me that J-Dub, I mean, obviously Georgia is a huge role in that whole partnership, but it's baffling to me that that team is that good and J-Dub has zero offense off the bounce. Fetty, tell me, I mean, you obviously live in Boca, Dubber lives in Boca, don't know if you guys practice a whole lot, but is he working on finding some offense off the bounce or maybe adding some new things to his game?
I mean, honestly, when we play in reg, he pulls way more than in a tournament match, you know. But
Right.
I just, that's the thing. Like when you're in a tournament match,
night and day.
you're gonna use what you're comfortable with. I don't think he's still that comfortable with. Yeah.
Right. It's tough not to pucker when it comes to tighter matches, feeling pressure and all that. But K-Mac, tell me, did you watch that mixed final?
So that one I actually did not watch. Was flying over, wasn't able to catch that one. But I mean, I will say J-Dub, he has added in the two-handed dink, off the bounce.
Yeah, for sure.
He's starting to not just cut the whole time, so he can absorb it a little bit more. He can move it around. But yeah, you look at his talent and how fast his recounter would be. It makes you wonder, why are you not pulling just a little bit more often to set up your hands, which are probably the fastest in pickleball, right?
Totally trust that chaos.
Yeah, I think his biggest issue is his forehand dink. Honestly, it's just there's not much pressure every time he hits the ball there, and that's been a problem for him for a couple of years. But yeah, his hands are unbelievable.
Kind of cupping motion, right? The one that gets behind him and just kind of sits there. He doesn't push
shaping the wrist, right?
Yeah.
Right. And don't know if you saw this, K-Mac, but looked like Fed. Tell me, did Hayden go back to the old Franklin paddle?
Yeah, and Hayden and J-Dub, they were playing with the old one. Yeah,
that's what I thought. Why?
Seems like it's a little more solid, less pop, but it's just like a little more consistent. So that's what they were looking for.
Trust what you know. If you can't handle the shotgun, go to the butter knife. Nothing wrong with that. Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, talk about full swing resets with that Franklin paddle. How often is J-Dub in transition taking a backhand block and literally taking like a full karate chop and getting that sucker neutral and shallow in that kitchen?
That shot is insane.
Honestly, that skill set is stupid.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's out of the air too. Like
it's out of the air.
How he does it.
Right. K-Mac teaches.
Opposite of what we teach at TM camps for the reset. Right?
Right. You gotta teach that shot.
All feel, right? And he just puts the ball on a dime.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Let's see here. Let's talk about the big mixed match upset over the weekend, which was our bucket hat team, Deckel Bar and Anna Bright. K-Mac, did you watch that one?
I did watch that one. I was very impressed, and obviously,
guy you love to see it
as well. Friend of mine, and he'd had a couple chances to play with Anna and they hadn't, performed probably the way they would have wanted to. So
Yep.
super happy for them to get that win, and very Herculean effort on his part. He created a lot of offense
He did.
on his own, got real hot, and he's tough to slow the big man down when he's playing that level.
It's true. True. Very true. I mean, like the serve and the drive is probably like the biggest 1-2 combo in the game. When he's leaning well and like using like the backhand flip, the flick gets down in a hurry. It's got a ton of spin on it. And then K-Mac, something that you were kind of working with Deckel with last year as I was playing with Deckel was like using his feet more, finding more forehands, kind of using that like sneaky tip down off the bounce speed up. And like when Deckel has all options working, he's a scary, scary player. I will tell you what.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's see here. Fed, tell me about the no testing for grit anymore. Is that accurate?
Yeah, but that's been going for a while, huh? I think,
Right.
like a bunch of tournaments, which is
Got it.
I think is crazy. So what they're saying is that the grit is not related with the amount of spin that you can create off a paddle, and I think that's not true, honestly.
Right. No, that sounds.
So
K-Mac, did you hear that? Right. No. Right.
This is the first time hearing of this, so I guess I'm late to the party. But I knew they were going to be more laxed on that going forward. But I'm not an engineer, but I always thought grit and spin went hand in hand. So,
I mean, it seems like it falls from the same tree.
But speaking about grit, like still to get your paddle approved by UPA or by USAP, it still is tested for grit there, correct? It's just not on site or not at all. I guess my question.
For USAP, yes.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Right.
Okay. But for UPA, like if I wanted to go get a new paddle approved, are they going to test the grit initially?
Yes,
if you're playing PPAs?
Initially, yes. Yeah.
Right,
So essentially they're just banking on that it's got the same grit, which we know obviously changes based on batch and a bunch of other things, but they're essentially just banking on that the paddle is the same as the initial one approved, and they're foregoing the testing on site.
Yes.
For grit, correct. Okay.
And Fed, tell me, so like the grit test last year, it couldn't be over 44, correct?
Yeah, it's 44.
44,
but now
right.
they're saying it's going up to 60 now. The paddles that they're playing with the players.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Got it.
Right.
Crazy. Yeah. Huh. So that's insane.
Right.
That's crazy.
Hey,
Yeah,
It's got to make
allow
it.
for just more angles and more offense and faster points if you can shape the ball more.
But they're saying
not
it
necessarily
doesn't.
faster like velocity, right? They're worried about that, but to allow more spin, more grit. Are they wanting the product, maybe men's doubles specifically, to be more like women's doubles, where it makes sense to take more chances from lower positions? I mean, I've got to think that's kind of the logic.
Yeah, for sure. Unless they're saying that they don't think it affects it, then I guess that kind of, you know what I mean? I guess it kind of rules that out a little bit. But what do you guys think about does the ball play into this? Like if there is a ball change, does it kind of negate the grittiness of the paddle or the poppiness of the paddle based on the softness of the ball, or doesn't have
Fed,
a
tell me, do you like the new Vulcan ball that we've been using for the last year or so?
I mean, it's good. I think it could be better, especially on returns. It's tough sometimes. Like the bounces are tough, and just it makes the return such a tough shot. I don't think like pickleball is meant to be like kind of like, trying to hit a return is a tough shot. But
Right, for sure.
Like overall, I think like if you have like singles players that are winning points just staying back, I think we're close to reaching a limit of like power, spin, like
For sure,
I think
For sure.
pickleball is more like, you gotta get to the kitchen,
Yeah. That's a good
Trust
point.
the kitchen, man. That's where the game is won and lost,
Right.
I mean, tell me, is there anybody aside from Hunter that is able to stay back and be that effective with passing off their back foot and just putting in a highlight reel? I don't really see any.
I think Connor does it. I mean, I practice a lot with Grayson, and he's all day staying back and ripping balls.
Interesting. Got it.
Sane Ford used to do it. Yeah,
What
I think
about
there's a bunch
women's?
of players now.
What about women's singles?
But-
is that just more they it's not necessarily that they're winning from the baseline. They just choose not to come in.
K-Mac, give me your logic on women's singles. I don't get it. I'm pretty sure you don't get it, but give me your logic.
I think almost all the lady players have exclusively two-handers. Sometimes they have one, but they struggle volleying, on the stretch with taking that left hand off.
Right.
So I think that limits them from coming forward. I think generally the women pass pretty well off both sides. They're a little, usually shorter than the guys, and then maybe just don't have that quite as explosive of first step. So with all those things, it makes them stay back a little bit more. That being said, I think if they really focused on their return, of focusing more on like the weight transfer with their lower body, maybe taking a little bit off the pace of the return, they could still come in off the return a lot more. But yeah, I think that's why traditionally we've seen the ladies return and stay back a lot more often than the top guys.
Fetty, tell me this. With Annalie living in Boca, have you ever played Annalie in any singles practice games?
Yeah, a bunch of times. And I think the last time I beat her like 12-10 in the third. Like, she's good.
Come on.
She's good.
She's good, he says. I mean, honestly, if we were to put this in a category, do you think AL, let's say across all three events, mixed gender and then singles, do you think she's like a top 20, a top 15, a top 10 guy? What do you guys think?
I think in doubles, she could be like the 10 guy. I think, Annalie and Ben probably go far on a men's doubles draw. In singles, maybe top 15, I would say.
Okay.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's scary good.
Yeah.
And for a girl to be that young, that dominant, and to be that consistent, like with her results. I mean, how many freaking triple crowns? Like I have 2. I think Ben has what? I don't know, 30 or 40.
I don't know.
She has like 100, right?
I don't know if you watched the women's singles final last
Brooke
weekend.
and her. Yeah, I mean Brooke had it. She's up 5-1 game 2. Just needs to close the door, and she couldn't find the doorknob.
She was game 1 and 9-5 up, and I was like, this is over. But then all of a sudden, Annalie just finds like a different gear, and she's like insane.
And there is no other female that has that gear. And I used to always think about that, like when I played Ben. Like I can't tell you how many times I was up like 9-1 in the third, and I still thought like I was gonna lose just because I know he has that. Because I know he has that gear. Obviously, it seems like that gear's been turned down just a hair the last year or so. If you know what I mean.
She's got to be like the most marketable athlete like that I can imagine, right? Like not only is she like young, she's very well spoken, she's got a lot of poise, she's got that fire, that confidence. But in that match, Fed, I was kind of blown away. Like if you're not an Annalie fan, you might be after this. She's going in the stands in between points, high-fiving all the fans. Sure. Like you could literally see her getting the energy from the crowd. Like there's not a lot of people that can do that and rise to the occasion. Like I was pretty blown away by not just what she put on the court, but to engage with the fans in that way. Like any company would be so lucky to have her represent whatever product. Like she's the most marketable athlete you can imagine, in my opinion.
Right.
Even Anna Bright, who's like as competitive as they come, probably second best player, on the women's side. She said something recently where she's like, Annalie's so good. If you could measure the 100 things that you need to be a top pickleball player, she's number 1 in like 80 of them. Right. So this is coming from a girl that's a complete dog and competitor, and the closest probably to Annalie, giving her those kind of kudos. I think that says a lot.
Yeah, it does.
So with Annalie, this is the last little thing, but do you think natural talent, reps, work, age, just eat, sleep, breathe pickleball because of like
I think like the support from mom and dad goes a long ways too, like
for sure.
And her grandparents with a good team. Yeah, naturally talented. Seems like she's feisty as all hell. Wants it. Is always hungry. Always shows the same passion. Whether she's down or up. I feel like she just does everything well.
She's really.
Go ahead.
Yeah, she's really professional. She's really professional. Like the way she practices, like super serious. She's not like she's fooling around like you would think like any kid. She's like in the zone, professional. So that's really good for her.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool.
Getting those good practice reps in is more than needed. Fetty, tell me, it seems like all the best players in the world right now are living in Boca, marinating in Boca. I know Mr. Johns, Ben, just moved to Boca. Tell me just what that practice is like. Who were some of the guys that you practiced with? Do you guys try to mix and match now that Ben is there? Because previously it seemed like Ben and Colin were very secretive about their practice, and they would only like practice together, and they would never play any teams. Or if they did in Austin, it was always like Zane and Deckel, guys that they know. I guess what is the practice schedule like in Boca? Are you guys doing 2-a-days? And then have you been able to get Benny out?
Yeah, so me personally, I do like a drilling session and then a playing session, and yeah, as you said, like so many top players over there. Like if you see, Mesa, the men's doubles, all the 4 semifinal teams were just Boca players, so it's pretty crazy. And Ben has been normal, honestly. Whenever you call him, he'll show up, practice. I think we're starting to see a little more personality out of him. With him playing with Gabe, Hayden, like he's become a little more open. So
tell me, does he go out and kick it after practice?
Like go out for a couple drinks and stuff?
Yeah.
We play padel and stuff. So
okay.
I mean, if that counts.
Yeah. Tell me, have you gotten Benny on the golf course yet?
Not yet. I want to try him out. Yeah, that'll be good.
Does Ben golf?
He I don't think he does.
I think he does. He told me he does. Yeah, he told me he does.
Okay, there you go.
The guy is gifted in all
I think
areas.
we need a dual tournament. We need like a golf,
little crossover tournament.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
Clip it. Okay, tell me this: have you ever been, or have you ever had the pleasure to go to Papi Jimmy's compound there in Boca?
What is that, like the house where he has Ryan?
Yeah, that's right. It's him, Ryan Fu, and Max Freeman, right? All just causing chaos.
I never been. I would like to.
Smart man.
Is it safe? We want to know.
Right. How dirty is that place, okay?
I have no idea.
Oh, stop.
Oh, gosh.
Stop.
Okay, my last question about Boca. Out of all the guys in Boca, who pulls the most tail?
I guess it's a tough one. I would say, can I give you like 3?
Yeah, top 3. and tell me this: how many kills a week?
Oh, stop.
I'm just kidding. I don't know about that. I have to put Jame there, right?
Jame. Okay.
But I mean, he's locked up now, right?
Yeah, right. I was gonna say leave Jame's name out of it.
Jame was in his prime, though.
Once upon a time,
Jame in his prime. The guy is a freaking hunter.
He's a 30-year-old that seems like a 20-year-old all day.
He's a hunter at heart.
I would say Pablo, and then let's put Hayden too there. Let's throw him.
H Dog. And tell me, H Dog lives with who?
He lives with Will Howells and Tanner Tomasi, Tanner Pickleball.
Got it. Okay. And then you got the Bandana Boys, roommates, right? Dylan and Pobby.
Dylan and Pablo together. Yeah.
Love it. Did you guys see Dylan's interview there in Mesa?
So good.
No.
Are you talking about when he's interviewing?
Yeah.
And asking the questions?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I think Fed, I'm pretty sure he asked you a few. Well, and he asked Fed a few questions, right?
Did he?
Oh yeah. He was in the media
room
a lot.
Job, right?
I love the glasses. I think him with the glasses on. I swear.
Then he had his little notebook and like his girly sweatshirt on. It was brilliant.
Dylan.
It was. Yeah, no, it was so funny.
What did he call it? DTF or no?
DTF.
DTF Enterprise.
We're looking. He said we're looking for investors. He's
looking
open.
for investors.
I will
talk about some of his personality
invest.
that has really like sprung in the last year or so. It's
so good.
It seems like Dylan's really like finding a different version of himself.
I love it. We need more of that.
We definitely do. K-Mac, you just taught a camp for us in Mesa.
Yeah. Went really well. We had, I think 23, 24 campers right there. The former Legacy Sports Complex. I forgot what the name is now, but right after the tournament. And with Ethan and Matthew, Really good vibes, honestly. Really, really cool couple of days. I mean, I think they all go pretty well, but sometimes you have one or two personalities that are kind of tough to manage that aren't happy about courts and levels. You know, the
We
same old
never have
drill,
that.
same old story.
Okay.
Didn't have any of those this time. So
Oh,
anytime we
love
can
that.
avoid having a Karen or two, we'll definitely take it.
Okay, I'm just gonna
No
say this
offense to
on
Karen.
air. Okay, if you were a Karen, do not come to our camp.
Oh, stop.
Just kidding.
No, Karen.
We will not accept you. Okay, no.
Do we need to?
We
Should
won't
we
take
add
your
that?
money.
No, I was gonna
Right,
say,
right.
should we add that to the registration, like before checkout? They
No
have to,
Karens,
they have to
okay? No
certify
Karens,
that
right.
they're not a Karen.
If you're trying to test the coaches, don't come. Okay?
No, I would say though, something to note, like for people out there that are looking to sign up for a camp, the beauty of our camps too is like, I know there's a lot of like mega camps out there, but we keep ratio, and also too, like most of our camps are 24 or less, and so you really get like some really good touches with the coaches, and it's a little bit more intimate than some of those really big camps out
Intimate touches.
there. Yeah.
What K-Mac is known for.
All right.
Hey,
K-Mac
Moving on.
don't be getting handsy, even though K-Mac loves to use his hands.
That's why there were no Karens, because he.
Good thing my wife is downstairs
Yeah,
and
right.
she can't hear this segment.
Oh, man. Okay, let's see here. Fetty, tell me, why the switch to Adidas?
Good question. I felt like it was a great opportunity to keep elevating my brand with a new paddle company, and Adidas having someone like Adidas behind me, helping me grow in just not pickleball but other things.
Yep.
More like it's not just about pickleball kind of thing. More of like the athlete. Yeah, I just thought it was a great idea, and yeah, now we just gotta figure out what paddle I'm gonna use, and that's the process that we are on right now.
Love it. Yeah.
Sweet.
It seems like anytime you're with a paddle brand, obviously you wanted to make it super dynamic with having them kind of cater to you as an athlete, but also maybe some lifestyle areas as well. You want a lot of backing. You want a lot of support. You want to trust the product, and love to
For
hear
sure.
that. So if you don't mind me asking, obviously it's kind of a touchy subject, but you use the Yola paddle in Mesa. So you guys are just working out the kinks, and that way you're extra comfortable when it comes to using your new Adidas signature paddle.
Yeah, so basically, in Tucson wasn't a great experience. I used an Adidas paddle that I was not 100% comfortable with, and we decided after that just let's go back to what it was working with me before, and let's just make sure that the next thing that I'm gonna be using, the Adidas paddle, is gonna be actually great, and I feel comfortable with. So now we're kind of like in that transition area. So they've been nice enough to I'm flexible to let me use a Yola paddle until I feel comfortable with it.
I was going to say, that's
that.
really cool that they're willing to do that. And I think everybody's so quick to judge on some of that stuff, but I don't think
Tell
think
memes of
people,
pickleball to get off your
Right.
back. Okay, get off your
They're on
back.
that.
Okay, you're talking to the king. Don't ever disrespect the king. Okay,
The prince.
okay, the prince.
No,
Go ahead.
for
sorry.
sure. No, sorry. I was just gonna say, I don't think people realize like how much work goes into developing a paddle, getting it right out the gate, and also too, like the way that player contracts are up at certain times and transitions have to happen for reasons of not re-signing and not having a gap. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have a paddle ready in that same time frame. So to your point, all the reasons why it made sense for you to switch, are there. So it's like, it's really cool that they're willing to let you have some time, or so you guys can come out with the best product that you can use. So how smart of them to allow that. But yeah, I mean, I totally get it. I feel like, we all know, even the Yola is amazing, and all their technology and how they work and all of that. And it's tough. It's a tough job to come out with a really good paddle. So,
For sure.
yeah. So
Well,
I understand it. I think it's weird that more people don't understand that.
And anytime, I was with Selkirk for 9 years. Anytime they were putting a new paddle in my hand and I was having to play with it, I felt like it was like a 6-month transition period of like trying to get used to the feel, trying to get used to like playing with the paddle in different temperatures or different elevations.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a vulnerable phase kind of early on with just gaining some trust,
Yeah. I don't mind the memes though. The memes are pretty funny.
They are. I mean, they're always spot on. Just don't disrespect the prince. Okay, you know who you're talking to. Okay, hey, look at this guy's golf game. Okay, do not ever disrespect him.
Is there memes
It
of
seems
golf?
like you're commenting on memes all the time. Seems like you're always leaving comments. Like you're a total junkie for the sport when you're not playing, right? I mean, you happen to be the #1 player in the world, but like it seems like on socials, like you're watching this stuff all the time. Like you live it, you breathe it, and obviously you can take a joke or two at your expense, which is cool.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's funny.
It's easier way to live life, right?
It's an
Yeah,
easier way
I
to
agree.
live
Yeah.
What was the post on Names of Pickleball? Who's Rafa's little honey that he's been hanging out with, spending a little extra time with? But remember, she was playing mixed, and Connor Garnett hit her in the head. Right?
Oh, Marcelo, yeah.
Yeah, right. What did she say again?
That's hilarious. She said that's
So
25.
that's a fine.
That's a fine.
Yeah.
That's 2,500.
You owe me 2,500.
She got tagged right on the dome.
And
Poor thing.
but she immediately said that's a fine.
I
Like her
was-
timing
She
was
is
so.
witty
Oh, it
as
was
all
perfect.
hell
We
she
got to
is.
get her on the show.
Her and Rafa together, what a dynamic duo.
That
Yeah.
needs to be on the pod, right?
No,
Both of them.
100%. We'll get them on together.
Right.
Oh, it's too funny. So good.
The targeting rule, yeah. It's pretty
The old,
crazy.
Yeah.
the old, and then
Should we
and
talk
then-
about that?
Yeah. Let's. So with the whole Hayden thing, so you guys had played Frenchie and Stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Hayden hit a 90% bailout speed up. It tagged Wyatt right in the shoulder. What
Yeah.
was the discussion afterwards? Because you guys were like joking around. You like gave Wyatt a high five, and what was all that?
So Hayden hit that shot, and then Don immediately is like targeting, like he wanted to call it so bad, and then I'm like right away I'm like no, we're done, the match is over, Don, like sorry, but we're not having that. But French is like trying to convince Don that he was actually going for the head, so it's like, but Don is like yeah, it's done, and then we're just chatting and laughing. Hayden was actually pretty upset that Don was wanting to call that, but. It's
So
funny
was
because
it called or not?
But-
he
because-
rescinded it.
Got
Okay.
Because there was talks on social that he was fined, and then
No.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Oh,
No,
and-
so the,
yeah, go ahead.
so the funny thing is that after that they suspended the rule. So like after that match, the rule was gone for the whole tournament. So that
Really?
rule is not on hold anymore. There's no targeting rule anymore.
perfect.
Really?
One and
Kind
done.
of crazy.
One and done.
Yeah.
So
That's a
they
fine.
Put it on hold temporarily, or are they saying nope, bad rule, we're getting rid of it?
Yeah, so like the day after that, like every match, the refs will tell us, all right, by the way, the targeting rule is not going on anymore, so you can go for the head, basically.
Go for the head. Aim high, players.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
High and
insane.
hard. Two guys who cannot get out of the way, and they're both left side specialists, is Deckel and Andre. Both of those big old
James-
boys have a
James.
hard time getting the hell out of the way. Easier said than done, but
Ignatovic has a hard time getting out of the way. too.
James is a sitting duck for a body bag. James is just a quacking duck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, K-Mac, talking about James, you guys gave him the old boot, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
Don't put
a
him
lot
in
of
the
it was a
spotlight.
price tag. I mean, so with the rule of having to pay
Of course.
half the salary. I think he wasn't the only #1 pick that was dropped. And
sure.
you look at him, and you look at Deckel, you look at the years that each of them had, and then the price tag difference between the two.
Didn't add up.
With the money involved, it was a pretty easy decision. I mean, we have the option. Potentially bidding on James, next week in the redraft. What I think you're going to see some teams try to do.
Right.
Like I'd be surprised if St. Louis didn't be pretty aggressive trying to get Fahey back.
For sure.
So we'll keep an eye on that, for next week. But love James. James it was tough for me because he's one of the guys I was closest with on the team.
Right.
Spent a lot of time together. But as you guys know, it's a business. I think he understood that he underperformed probably relative to his draft pick. At least in men's. And doesn't mean we're completely done with him, but had to drop somebody, and weren't going to drop one of our girls. We're feeling pretty strong about our females going into next year.
Like it.
So talking about that, so the draft, you're bidding for pick, right? So
Yeah,
like
spots.
okay, got it. So it'll open and you'll say, hey, this is the first round. Who wants the first round pick? Everybody submits their price. Now, do they get to see that the bid's going up and down, or it's just a one and done? Like here's 100, or they can see someone did 150 and then they can go higher. Do you know?
Yeah, you can see it. I'm pretty sure it was just like last time.
Got it. Okay, so you can see it going up and you can increase yours accordingly. Got it. Okay. And you can only spend what you have, or can you put more money in?
Unlimited.
I don't think there's a cap, Meg.
Unlimited, baby.
Crazy.
Throw some ones at it.
Someone has to pay the contracts.
Pump some dollars into the league.
Got it. That's amazing. Okay. So essentially some of these teams that made money by trading players or dropping players essentially have, some dollars to spend, but they can spend more. That's amazing. That's crazy. Cool.
Mama, talk about the Hustlers. How much did they make off of clean sweep, pushing everybody out?
I don't know.
Oh, you do.
I don't know that I'm allowed to share the exact amount. I may know.
She's talking to Cordon last week.
But no, I think they made a good amount of money. And obviously you guys can see that by what what did they pay for Jack? I think Jack was pretty spendy.
Jack went
third,
fourth?
Fourth?
Fifth. Okay.
Half a million, I think.
Half a mil for Mr. Sock.
That's a pretty hefty payday. So, like you said, Kyle, I think, the idea that you can drop players and maybe get them back at less than what you would have paid to keep them makes a lot of sense. So I'm just curious if it's going to be just a fire sale for women first and then deal with the guys after.
Tell me, do you think Buckner is going to stay? Tell me, Brooke is in Challengers, correct? Brooke got traded to Brooklyn. I believe she's
in Las Vegas, I think, right?
She's in Vegas. Okay.
Vegas is Challenger still.
Who?
They are, I believe.
They are. Got it.
You can't, if you're kept in Challenger, you can't get drafted for Premier, correct? Like if you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, I think you'd have to get traded.
Got it. Okay.
And the trades are over.
Got it.
At this point.
I don't think Brooke should be playing Challengers. Do you guys?
No, that's a really good Challenger team. They have Pablo, Zoe, and Brooke. That's a really good Challenger
team. Stacked for sure. It's more than stacked.
That might be better than some of the Premier teams when the draft's finally said and done, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Crazy.
Okay. K-Mac, anything else MLP related that you can think about, or any trades that threw you off, or just like your thoughts going into the draft?
No, I mean, I think I kind of love and hate the auction style, right? Like I love it because I think it makes it wide open from a strategy standpoint, but I kind of hate it because it's like, it's tough to know what to do and, and how to act. I think one thing to look for is, if you're drafting a female player or a male player, and you're having a bidding war, it kind of depends on which team you're having a bidding war with, right? I think there's a few teams you want to keep an eye on that might be bidding for similar players. So you're going to have an idea of, maybe one or two players that you'd like to get. But maybe you don't want to overspend and have a bidding war with a team that's clearly not going for one of those players. So there's a lot of information that you don't really have. I think it makes it really exciting. But yeah, I have no idea what it's going to look like. Like Meg could be totally right, where it could just be heavy, high bids for the ladies first, and then it might slow down for some of the guys' spots. But if a team really wants a particular guy that they feel like, really fits well in their team, maybe they might get in a bidding war, with another team who's got an eye on one of the female players. So really don't know what it's going to look like. Really curious to see what teams like New York or the Challenger teams that have gotten promoted now to Premier, how aggressive are they going to be with their money early on? Because honestly, if they're not aggressive, they're not going to have a good season. I don't think they're going to be competitive at all. Right. And do the owners really want to kind of set the precedent of building their brands, their teams, kind of like Utah started last year, right? So just kind of wait and see who's serious about winning, who just kind of wants to be, part of the party. But we'll have to wait and see.
Part of the party.
It's a lot to work with, and I mean
it's a free for all.
It seems really tricky, even if you only have one or two players that you have to draft for, just with the dynamic like you're saying. It's not just that you're worried about what you need for your team, but it seems like you have to kind of be worried about what those other teams need, and almost not like preventing them, but there's just so much at play. So for me, it's like if you don't have anybody, it seems like a mountain to climb. I mean, you could get lucky, right? Because I think all of the drafts we've seen, players that we wouldn't think would go went in higher spots. So I'm really curious to see if one of those teams, like the Slicer, if New York, if it turns out to work in their favor. So it'll be interesting. And when does the draft take place, Kyle?
For Premier, it's March 2nd.
Okay. Well, I'll be watching.
Big day. Big day. Eat your Wheaties. Okay, Fetty, we don't have to get in too much detail. Just give me some insight on the match against Hunter and how that whole thing transpired.
Yeah, so first of all, I step on the court and I see this ref, and I know.
You've been there.
You know, so funny. Sorry to cut you off. There's 2 refs that this year, if they are on my court right away, I'm telling.
You're like, no.
I'm telling Don Stanley to get them out of here. And I hate saying that, but there is a couple refs that honestly just want to be heroes, want to take over. 95% are neutral. They care for the players. But there is a couple that like to kind of ruin your day. Anyhow, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I win the first game, then we're like tight on the second one, 11-10. He hits a passing shot. I saw it out. I got it out. It was super close. Video challenge.
Called it out.
Call stance. Okay, awesome. Give me the ball. And then Hunter is like, no, we're gonna call Dawn. We're gonna review it again, because they show the line call in the big screen, and they're all like, oh, it was in. So then basically, yeah, Don comes and he overturns the overturn, basically.
Should we change that rule? I mean, should players be able to ask for the head referee to come out to like double challenge?
I think you are allowed to now, yeah.
Right.
I don't think you should on a line call. Maybe if it's something else where it's like a judgment call, but if it's just an in or out situation, that just seems crazy to me that like one referee has an opinion and then a different referee has a different opinion. I mean, I can understand why it got chaotic, right? Like that'd be tough emotionally to deal with. Seems like not the most professional look, honestly.
Well, and also too, the new rule in 2025 is that you're not allowed to ask the crowd. And I think sometimes when
the crowd or the ref
on a line call. And so for me, it's like when you put it up on the big screen like that and you kind of cause chaos, I mean, it really kind of puts it in a tricky situation, because you could say that wasn't the crowd that was, but it really, I mean, it is.
Right. Yeah, it puts pressure. It puts pressure, sure.
Well, and would fix all this is if we went back to that like AI Hawkeye system and had that black dot in the middle.
Yep.
Pull that thing out. Use that for every tournament. Why we're not using that is so silly.
Is that what it's called in
tennis? Take out the guesswork. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Is it called Hawkeye in tennis?
Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Hawkeye system.
So all of that's automatic, right? There's no. I mean, you can challenge it.
In this day and age, just use AI.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Fed, game 3, talk to me.
Game 3, 6-2, I slam a ball to the stands. I get a warning.
That's not like you.
No, that's not like
I don't break paddles, you don't do that, right?
I get a warning, and I think I get a warning, and then I'm like, or a point penalty. I don't know what happened, and then I went to the ref on the side change, and I'm like, you always do this shit to me. But I was
give him the business.
I was saying in Spanish, so I was saying in Spanish, and he understood because he speaks a little Spanish. And then he's like, point penalty again. And I'm like, wait a second. So then I called Don, because I'm like, you cannot give me a point penalty for that. I mean, it's not that I was like yelling at his face. I was just saying like normal, having a conversation. Right. I mean, I said, shit, that's it. It's not like, I curse your mom or something. So yeah, then they called Don. The
prince is allowed to say shit, okay? Go ahead.
Then they called Don, and he's like, yeah, point penalty again, because if you call Don and he gives the right to the ref, that's another point penalty. So I got two right away, and then after that just went crazy because Hunter called a ball out that I saw in. I challenged it, he gets overturned. Then the ball hits the post, the ref didn't see it. So I'm like,
I saw that.
Guys, like, you guys are not, you're not helping me at all here.
Right.
Chaos.
Yeah.
No bilingual refs for Fed. No bilingual refs.
No.
Let him do his thing in Spanish. Give the guy a break.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
But kudos to the refs it goes to show too, like how important it is. Like the refs that do, I guess I appreciate the refs that do toe the line, but they try to be as uninvolved as possible. Sure. And I remember seeing something at Nationals. This was before the PPA tour. But a huge sign in the refs room before the refs walked out the door, was this massive sign, and it said the best ref is the one nobody remembers.
Right. It's not about you.
And I was like, how true is that? But I do appreciate when something is controversial, if something does come up, it's nice for the refs that they're like a dictionary for, they're like an encyclopedia for the rule book. They know exactly what they're talking about, and you might not like what their answer is, but you have confidence that they know what they're talking about and it's correct, and you don't have to call Don. So, I mean, kudos to those guys, but because it can make a difference, and I do think that it is a little tricky. I mean, we saw that, I want to say, a little bit in Australia. Maybe that's controversial to say.
I was going to bring up Kansas City, Fed and I. Like, I got called from my serve. So Fed and I are playing at like 10:30 at night.
Right.
And there was nobody there watching. And I didn't get called for my serve all day long. I get called.
Ty was there.
Yeah, hey, Ty was there. Dad, we need this. But I got called twice, and it was 3-1 game one. And I looked at the ref, and I'm like, bro, if you keep calling me for my serve, like, it's gonna be a long night. It's already 10:30, and it's 3-1 game two. Yeah. And it was funny in that match. I got called for my serve multiple times. Both Fed and I had multiple technical warnings. And I mean, I don't know, same thing.
Yeah, it's tricky. And I think too, like, it's hard because I think sometimes the refs have good intention of kind of pre-warning you, like, if I see this, I'm going to call it. If this happens, we're going to call it. But then in the same sense too, that kind of plants it in your head that like, oh, they're on the lookout for me on this particular thing. So it's almost like, don't say anything. Just be there, just officiate, and I guess I like that some of the rule changes this year kind of get away from asking the ref and letting it be so subjective. I think we got to get away from the subjective rules, whether it's the serve rule, whether it's whatever. If it's subjective and it's not black or white, I don't know. It's a hard. That's when the ref can make them change in a match or make the difference of a win or loss. So it's a tough enough job already for them to do, and I'm sure they don't make enough money to do it. So let's not put any more. Let's not put any more burden or question marks on it. In my opinion,
I think the only thing to add is that we're players and we have emotions. Like, it's gonna happen. Like, I feel natural. Like, of course, don't throw a paddle to the ref's head, but it's like, I act like that because I saw a lot of hate in social media about how I was acting and stuff. I act like that because I care, and I have emotions, and sometimes I'm gonna get upset and sometimes I'm gonna be happy. That's how sports work, but I cannot be like, nothing, like not showing any emotion. That's not me. So it's like, yeah.
No, it's true. I do think too, it's like, people don't realize, like, you got to let the steam out a little bit. I know that with Tyson, right?
Well, like, and people like don't realize like the suffering that we go through in practice, and like we're building ourselves up, and we're trying to be super confident going into tournaments, and we're giving it our all.
Well, and
sometimes you see a bad version of ourselves, and that's fine, right? It's natural, it's human.
And even just the pressure to show up and compete and be in front of a crowd and all of that, like, I don't think anybody truly appreciates that. It's more like, oh, you should just be happy to be there, and you are. You are, but you want to see this tight match. You want to see intense play. So with that's going to come emotion, and so we got to find a way where players are allowed. You're not cussing so loud that the whole crowd can hear you, but within reason, can you say something under your breath or maybe say something to your box or something like that? I don't know. There's got to be, it definitely has got to be a happy medium. But I thought it was interesting too. I don't know if you guys saw the rule change that if you get called, so like Hayden's thing, right, on the ending point of a match, let's say you go over to the side and you throw your paddle or something, they can actually carry on that penalty onto your next match. So like Don could say, hey, you threw your paddle at the end of this game, we're going to carry your penalty or your technical on to your next one. So kind of interesting. So
Love
kind
it.
of, I guess, to
Love
persuade people from not like losing
Glad
it at
to
the
hear.
end. Yeah. So just a little warning.
Speaking of matches where my emotions got to me, Fed, remember when you and I played a singles match in Vegas? This was like 2 or 3 years ago. And
Ooh, that was crazy.
That was crazy, right? I had won game one. And tell me, I'm pretty sure I was up like 8-1 game two. I was rolling.
You had like a couple match points, right? In
I had
the
a
second
couple match points. I mean, was just being a complete psycho out there, as my wife has seen way too often. But yeah, have a couple match points, choke my life away. Fed raises his level and ends up beating me in game 3. Directly after that match, I kid you not, I took my bag. I stormed off that court. There was like this wooden panel that was like by the restrooms. I kicked that thing so hard. I'm pretty sure I broke my big toe.
You did.
And then I threw my bag in the bush. I'm pretty sure I cried for a little bit. Okay, this stuff matters. Okay, this stuff matters, right? Just a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, we're competitors, so that's
Right?
that's how
Dogs
we
at
roll.
heart, you know? Hey,
Yep.
leave the puppies on the porch and let the big dogs eat, okay? Simple as that.
It's funny too, because when there have been champions or people that are great players that win a lot, but they're just like robots out there, right? Where they don't show that emotion. Then fans are critical of them for that. Well, they're a good player, but I'd like to see some emotion. I'd like to see you compete. So, I think people can be very picky. They want emotion, but only positive emotion. But that's not how humans are built, right? It's part of the battle that you're having internally is dealing with those emotions, finding positivity, finding that fight. But human beings are going to have each end of the spectrum, right? So, yeah, can't have it all.
I would argue.
Write me a book on how I should act, okay?
I would argue it's the same thing with Annalie. And Annalie's had a few losses, and will literally say a few, and she maybe doesn't respond in those moments the way that everybody expects her to because of that. Like, I don't know. She's not the kind of competitor that she is without being able to be upset too. And I've said this with Tyson. Like, if he didn't let the losses sting, then he wouldn't be the player that he is, right? Like, if you don't let the losses hurt you and you're not pissed about them, like, how do you improve upon that? If you're just happy to be there and you're not, like, it doesn't affect you, then
it's not a good sign.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Dun, dun, dun. So, Fed, you like to play some golf with Johnny G. Hey, call Johnny, baby.
1-800-CALL Johnny.
1-800 call Johnny. Tell me. It seems like you and Johnny's relationship is pretty close, and you guys have been hanging out last couple years. Just tell me about that relationship, and I know you guys play some golf together too, correct?
Yeah, so Johnny's basically my coach. He like drills with me anytime I need. He gives me advice. We watch film together, and then other than that, we also we're friends. And as you said, we play golf. He's been super nice to me and really helpful, and lots of my success is because of him. Honestly. Yeah,
Johnny is the nicest guy, but definitely a individual that you want on your side.
On your side.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely a guy that you want.
Just call him. He'll get right on your side, right?
Right, but definitely.
If you get injured, call Johnny. Okay?
It pays to be on his MLP team, I think is what you're speaking to,
very
right?
Much so. That guy is just a bully. He's a complete bully.
He's really good for MLP. He's really good at finding that up and coming player and get them up. He does a really good job at that. Actually, I think he's one of the best at that. Yeah.
Can spot talent.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, well, Fetty, K-Mac, and Mama, appreciate you guys. Fetty, nice to have you on for the very first time here, man.
Yeah, it's this is, as I told you when we started, this is the #1 pickleball podcast, the original one. This is it.
Come on, tell Daddy more. Tell Daddy more.
Don't bump him too much.
This is it.
The OG. Okay. I remember K-Mac and I back in the day, we called it McGuffin Pickle Business or some stupid name. K-Mac and I were banging out live streams on Facebook.
If someone wants to really dive deep into the archives,
don't look at that old stuff.
I maybe shouldn't. I was gonna say I shouldn't say this, but
don't look.
We would get on Facebook Live, hit that button, and then it took us probably
about 20 minutes
10
to get
minutes
on.
of freaking battling technology and trying to get the other person on. There was definitely cussing and all sorts of crazy shit that took place.
Bunch of X-rated business.
Anyways.
Okay, well, appreciate you guys. My name is Tyson McGuffin, and we'll see you next episode. Thanks,
Boom.
boys.